Hey everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. It's Code Karen. Welcome to r/Maliciouscompliance, where we have 4 incredible stories. If you're new to this channel, a sub would be great. Let's jump to the stories. Our first story is, ex-girlfriend wants to cut off our electricity? No problem. I was living with my girlfriend and a roommate, and we split the cost of every bill evenly, even though each bill was in one person's name. Well, that was the idea, but I naively helped my girlfriend pay her part of the bills, i.e. paid completely for most of them. The rent was in my name, the electricity in my girlfriend's, etc. Well, I eventually got tired of her mess, arguments, smelly gerbils, not doing chores, and we broke up. It was messy. She took ages to move out, making sure to mooch every penny she could before leaving. When she left, I immediately started a new electricity account in my name. A week later, I got a letter of confirmation in the mail, but I also received the electricity bill for the last 3 months my ex was living with us. I opened it without thinking. We couldn't even pay for it if we wanted to because the bill was in her name. I shot her a text. Me, yo, you got the electricity bill in the mail. It's $120, so come pick up $40 from each of us. X, where's the other $40? We agreed I wouldn't pay bills after I move out. As if she did before. Me, you were still living here for the time period of the bill. X, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay a thing. We had an agreement. Me, well, you can come over to get our part, or you can pay it alone. X, the way I see it, you can either bring the $120 to my place or have fun in the dark. LOL. Me, you got me there. At this point, I realized that she doesn't know I started my own account with the electricity provider. She thought that by refusing to pay, the provider would cut our lights. Good way to mooch another $40 from us, right? But that's not quite what happened. A few weeks later, I received another letter from electric company with her name on it. Probably a late payment warning. I sent her a text to tell her, and she responded, LOL, why are you so desperate to talk to me? You know what you have to do. Another letter came in for her. This one was probably late fees. I have to guess because I never opened them. I messaged her, and she said, I thought I told you to never talk to me again. As you wish, ma'am. More letters arrived, but from a new address. I googled the new sender's address and found out that they were debt collectors. Scary stuff. It's too bad I couldn't say a word to her. Now, about 2 or 3 months later, I received a phone call from my ex, and I'm greeted by, what the F? These people are calling my parents' house. I've got all these late fees. Bah, debt collectors. I told her if she wants our part of the bill, she knows what to do. Realizing that she had no other choice, she caved in and came for the money. My roommate and I didn't give her a cent towards late fees, and I probably looked so effing smug giving her my money for the last time. Our second story is, my neighbors wanted to call a professional to mark their property line. My parents agreed. This was a long time ago, but I remember it clearly. We moved into a community with tight space in between our house and our neighbors. We didn't like them being able to see into our kitchen. We put up a bunch of plants, costing thousands, but my parents thought it would be worth it. A week later, my parents woke up to the plants completely chopped down. My father was furious and marched down to our neighbor's house. He told my father the plants were on his property line. Therefore, he had total right to take them down. He warned that if anything were to go on his property again, he would report us to the authorities immediately. Later that day, my father called the company that put in the plants with the warranty we could have them replanted next week for no charge. We made sure there was no way it was on our neighbor's property. However, a few days later, we caught him chopping them down at 2 a.m. We called the police upon obstruction of property, and after a chat with my neighbor, he decided to call a professional and mark his property line. My father agreed. A few days later, I got home to find orange tape in my neighbor's yard. Apparently, his fence was 11 feet over our property line. We watched as he took down his fence, completely furious. Within the next month, we were enjoying our new space and privacy in our backyard, and my neighbor ended up losing 1/4 of his backyard. My neighbor ended up having to pay almost $10,000 for the destruction of our property, and we got to plant our plants again. Our third story is, I don't care if he is dead. Put him on the phone. My father died on Father's Day 2012. He was divorced and living alone, and I am an only child, so that means that I had to wrap up all his affairs. This story centers around us trying to get his utilities canceled. I called in to see what we had to do to get them to cancel. The lady I spoke with on the phone said to send in his certified death certificate. I sent in the certified copy of his death certificate the next day. The next month I got another bill. I called again and a new woman answered. She said that because I wasn't on the account, that she had to speak with the account holder. I informed her that the account holder was dead, but she wouldn't budge. I had to make an appointment with a supervisor so she could speak to him herself in person. I showed up at the Board of Public Utilities with another death certificate and his ashes in the clear bag that they had returned his remains in. I plopped them down on the center of her desk and said when she talked to him to tell him that I loved him for me. The woman went pale, flew out her chair, and called the cops. When they showed up, she claimed that I assaulted her. And yes, my dad's remains were still sitting in the middle of her desk with the death certificate. The cops questioned me as to why I would do that. I told them the story. The supervisor's boss was called in, and they all stepped away from the desk for a private talk. While they were talking, the cops came over to talk to me. They said that I shouldn't take human remains out in public, but there was no laws that were broken. I said that I agreed with them that it was extreme, but she insisted to speak with him in person. By then, they were done talking between themselves. The supervisor's boss kissed up to me and got it taken care of. But the story isn't over yet. I had to call back a few days later to get the utilities back to my house in my name. When the person on the phone saw the address and my name, I was immediately put on hold. The supervisor's boss that finally helped me got on the phone. She stepped up to me and waived all the fees that come with setting up utilities. Just as the call was ending, she informed me that she was again so sorry for the employee's lack of compassion. She said that the employee was terminated, and again, she is so very sorry. Our last story is, security made us show the last 5 photos on our phone. My coworker, an absolute hero, maliciously complied to security on one of our subcontractor jobs. The customer was a manufacturer for high-end electronic components. Security was tight, as a small 4x6 box could contain 250,000 worth of microchips. Our team was installing equipment in their facility for 1 week. A security checkpoint had to be passed every trip in or out of the building. Mr. Security Guard, Chad maybe, decided my coworker, Steve, probably was more suspicious than the other 4 techs. So every trip in or out, not only was Steve made to dump his entire contents of his backpack out on the table and go through it, Chad required Steve to show him the last 5 pictures taken on his phone to prove he wasn't stealing secrets. This was all fine, except Chad lets everyone else through without any sort of inspection. Steve is trying to stay positive, but obviously this was eating away at him. Steve tries to be overly positive and always a bit snarky with comments like, "Thank you, Paul Blart, for keeping America safe," which busts up for the rest of our crew. Then, Steve has the idea that we'll free him the rest of the week. Wednesday comes along. Steve is overly scrutinized on our way in as usual. As we head to security at lunch, Steve says he has to go to the bathroom. He comes out a few minutes later, absolutely giddy. Chad Blart, aka Mall Cop, stops us on our way out and asks Steve to see his camera roll. Steve gladly hands the phone over. Chad is greeted by some very peculiarly angled shots of Steve's buttocks. "What the F?" Chad throws the phone down on the table. "Oh, sorry. I thought I had a hemorrhoid and wanted to see how bad it was. Is everything okay with my pictures? Is the facility safe?" Chad never checked Steve's materials again. "Good on you, Steve." Interesting. The lengths we go to prove our innocence. What's the craziest thing you had to do? Comment below.